That's right. It's time for Catching Up with Carley, presented by Meijer. And today I'm pleased to be joined by Red Wings alumni, good friend, John Ogrodnick. How's it going, Johnny-O?
Well, I'm bored as can be, Carly, and more than happy to be on your show. It gives me something to do for today with this virus, being stuck at home. So this is awesome for me.
That we are. And crazy
Yes.
world, crazy sports world, a lot of things going on. First, before I start asking you some questions, I want to talk about the jerseys behind you. You want to walk us through those? Those are really cool.
Well, for the most part, yeah, they're basically the All-Star jerseys I kept over the years. I was fortunate to play in 5 All-Star games. The one I'm most proud of is when I was actually elected first team left wing. That's when we had a line of Steve Yzerman, myself, and Ron Duguay, and that's the year I ended up having 55 goals. So that was nice to be voted on as first left wing All Star. The other ones I'm very proud of, don't get me wrong, but that was a scenario where each team had to be represented. And, I was pretty much leading the team in, goals and points, and which doesn't say much because, in a way, we weren't very good back then, obviously. We were in a rebuilding situation, but it's one of those, Carly, that when you do it and you play, you don't think much of it. But after you've been out of the game for a while, you kind of appreciate it a lot more. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're basically going to touch on everything you just brought up, but starting with
yeah.
everything going on with the NHL right now, we know it's swirling with rumors of a January 13th start date for the season. Fingers crossed. But that would mean a 10-day training camp. Kind of bizarre to think about. How would that affect the players?
I think each player is going to be different. When it comes to training camp, some guys, and it's not a question of being in shape or not. For the most part, they can get in shape pretty quick because, unlike in the '70s, I started in the '80s, but in the '70s, guys used to go to training camp to get in shape. They'd be overweight, and but throughout my career, as time went on, and like I said, I was '80s and early '90s. Players are coming to the training camp in pretty good shape. It comes down to timing and everything like that, and but like I said, Carly, everybody's different. You know what? For me, it's not enough. Basically, when I played, I needed all 3 weeks of training camp, and probably a week into the season. And it wasn't that I was out of shape. The shape. I was in shape and had no problem skating or like that. But when you're a goal scorer and you're going down the wing 100, at a quick pace, and you let a slap shot go from the top of the circle, in training camp, I used to try that, and I used to fall flat in my face and shoot 10 feet wide. So for me, it was just getting my coordination back together, and getting the timing back and all that. So 10 days for me, yeah, it'll be a little short. Like I said, after that, it'll probably take me a couple weeks into the season. But like I said, every player is different. And I'm not concerned, I'm being redundant here, but I'm not concerned about the players not coming to camp in shape. It comes down to timing and seeing the ice and being able to move the puck and just getting their skills back.
Well, especially with that through this pandemic, a lot of guys haven't had that time on the ice that they usually do. But what about also, speaking of not being able to get together as a team, what about the staff, the coaches and Iserman? Does that give them enough time, 10 days, to assess some of the new guys, especially trying to get defensive pairings and offensive lines all together?
Well, I think, going into this, I think they have a pretty good idea what their goal is. But you're right, 10 days is going to be enough because, like I said, they've got they probably have a pretty good idea how they're going to start things out. But again, if you got 3 weeks to look at players, if you have to make changes, you have to make changes. Some players, through training camp don't think, management doesn't think they're ready, and might have to spend some time in the minors. It's easier to do that. So, unfortunately, the Red Wings, they're going to probably go with what they think is right. And probably in the first week or two, you might see some movement from the minors back up to the majors or back to juniors or whatever in that time frame. So don't be surprised again if they use the first couple weeks of the season as part of the as part of their overall training camp. It's old famous saying from from Glenn Sather years back. When he was with the Oilers, his whole idea was his regular season was a big preseason for the playoffs. So that was Glenn Sather's attitude when he was running the Edmonton Oilers.
I love that. Well, you played during an era, as we were mentioning before, where the league had fewer teams, and now with talks that the Wings could only play 8 teams in an entire season. How do you think that will play out for the Red Wings? Do you think it could benefit them or hurt them in the long run, or not really affect them at all?
I don't think it'll affect them that much. First of all, I'd have to see the teams they have to play. I mean, if they're all top 10 teams that they got to play, then it's not going to benefit them. Obviously, there's got to be a pretty good mixture in there. But if anything, it's going to probably frustrate the fans. Because the fans like to see other teams come into town. There's no question about it. And see other talent come into town or watch them on TV. So I don't think the fans are going to be too happy about it. But they're going to have to kind of live with it for the time being. As far as the players. In a way, speaking for myself, when I played, the motivation might be tough. It might get a little boring playing the same team, frequently throughout the season. It's always exciting to, travel to different cities and get an opportunity to play against other teams. And, it's kind of uplifting. So it might get a little mundane for some of the players here, just, again, playing the same 8 teams over and over again. So marketing wise, fan wise, I don't think it's going to be the greatest situation, but you got to make do with what you have, and hopefully hopefully it's well balanced. That again, the Red Wings aren't up against top 10 top strong teams that they're going to have an opportunity there. But I guess the way they finished last year, I don't mean as an insult. Every team's going to be better ranked than they are, obviously with the season they had last year. And I don't mean that as a negative, and I don't mean that as a joke or anything like that. They have to, like Blasco says, you know what? They have to come out fast this year, and they got to show some improvement on a daily basis. And a lot of these guys, you know what? They were rookies last year or the year before. They're a year older now. They're a year more mature now, and you know what? It's they've got to be better and better, and really help out this team and this organization.
And with us looking at a 56 game schedule, you can't gradually get better throughout the season. I mean, you have to come out of the gates like guns ablazing, ready for the season. Like there's not much room for growth in this could be condensed season.
Well, you're exactly right. You've got the shorter season, and so I mean, every win's going to mean a lot more. Every loss is going to mean a lot more, and they do have to be ready. And I'll be honest with you, Carley, I'm excited. It's always nice. You look at potentially, 6 or 7 new players coming in the lineup. Nothing against the previous players, but again, being an ex-player, going in that dressing room, these players, the original, the players that are still here from last year are going to be pretty excited to see new faces there, new excitement, and hopefully, guys like Stahl, some of these older players, been in the league for a while, and Bobby Ryan, they show good leadership, if not in the dressing room, on the ice, and that's what Steve Yzerman's, when I played in his claim to fame was, he was pretty quiet in the dressing room, didn't say much, and he just, he led by example on the ice, and I think that some of these players, especially these younger players, see these older players come in, and if they start doing that, I think it's going to be, it's going to be very uplifting, for the younger players, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see the change, and I'm hoping, like you are and everybody else, that they get off to a great start, and they're going to be enjoyable to watch, and because I'm telling you, once you lose, you got to get out of that rut, and now's the time that hopefully, again, with the additional players and the short season, let's see if they can get out of that rut and get the ball rolling. Because once you start winning, it's a nice rut to be in. Also,
I have to ask you, who's going to be the
yes.
next 50 goal scorer on the Red Wings team? Who's going to be the first to reach it?
Oh, I got to say, Mantha. I mean, this guy's got a skill level. He's got a shot. You know what? He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's got a quick release, moves a puck well. And I thought last season he was better than the season before, and hopefully he keeps progressing. And he gets out there in the power play. I mean, I can see a guy there. He's getting 50. He's just got to let it go. And I like the fact that they got him at the top of the circle on the point on the power play, because you got to take advantage of that shot. And but he's got a skill level, and his his hand-eye coordination is unbelievable. He's a hell of a golfer. And changing the subject real quick, it's also going to be tough for the players too, Carley, because I'm telling you, when they don't have fans to play in front of, also, I mean, that makes it tough. Also, it's not a pleasant situation. And I've always said this, especially in the playoffs, during the regular season, it's so long and it's a grind. You're drinking a lot of coffee and you're trying to get up for the games, but once the playoffs start, and unfortunately I wasn't here so much with the Red Wings, but in Madison Square Gardens, I was with the Rangers. I mean, you didn't need any coffee. I mean, the adrenaline and just the fans and the excitement and all that, and I'm talking playoff hockey, but even regular season hockey, the players like the fans out there because they can motivate them. There's no question about it.
It brings more pizzazz to the game, if you will. For lack of a better word, I couldn't figure out what I was trying to say there, but pizzazz will have to do for now. But it is definitely an exciting time to be a Detroit sports fan. I mean, anything can happen right now,
I
really.
know.
I mean, you
Thank
look
you.
at the Lions, you look at the Tigers, you never know. So I'm very excited for the Red Wings, and I got very excited hearing you talk Red Wings hockey with me. It gets me excited. Hopefully, this January 13th start date will happen. Johnny, I can't thank you enough for joining me. It's been a pleasure getting to talk with you again on Catching Up with Carley, presented by Meijer.
Well, you're quite welcome. I'm more than happy to be here, Carley. Thank you.
Hope to see you soon. Daniela, back to you.